Nikita Khrushchev was a prominent Soviet politician, who played a crucial role in the history of the Soviet Union during the Cold War. He was born in 1894 in a small village in the Russian Empire and rose to become the first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, CPSU, in 1953, following the death of Joseph Stalin. Khrushchev's tenure as leader of the Soviet Union was marked by significant changes in the country's domestic and foreign policies, as well as several notable moments in world history. Khrushchev came to power at a time when the Soviet Union was still recovering from the devastating effects of World War II and Stalin's brutal regime. He embarked on a program of de-Stalinization, which involved repudiating many of Stalin's policies and practices, including the cult of personality and the use of terror and repression. Khrushchev also initiated a number of reforms aimed at improving the standard of living for Soviet citizens, such as increasing the availability of consumer goods and expanding housing. One of Khrushchev's most significant foreign policy initiatives was the policy of peaceful coexistence with the West, which he advocated as a means of avoiding a nuclear war. This policy was reflected in his famous speech at the 20th Congress of the CPSU in 1956, where he criticized Stalin's legacy and called for greater political openness and more harmonious relations between the Soviet Union and the West. However, Khrushchev's foreign policy was also marked by several controversial and even dangerous moments. Perhaps the most infamous of these was the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, when the Soviet Union attempted to install nuclear missiles in Cuba, sparking a standoff with the United States that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Khrushchev ultimately backed down and agreed to remove the missiles, but the crisis demonstrated the risks inherent in Cold War tensions. Khrushchev's leadership was also marked by significant changes in Soviet society and culture. He encouraged greater artistic and cultural freedom, leading to a flourishing of literature, music, and the arts. However, he also faced criticism and opposition from hardliners in the Soviet leadership who viewed his reforms as a threat to the Communist Party's power. Khrushchev's tenure as leader of the Soviet Union came to an end in 1964, when he was ousted from power in a coup led by his political rivals. He spent the remainder of his life in relative obscurity, writing his memoirs and reflecting on his legacy. Despite the controversies and challenges of his leadership, Nikita Khrushchev remains an important figure in the history of the Soviet Union and the Cold War. His policies and initiatives helped shape the course of the Soviet Union and the world during a crucial period of global history. Nikita Khrushchev was a complex and influential figure in the history of the Soviet Union and the Cold War. His leadership was marked by significant changes in Soviet domestic and foreign policy, as well as several critical moments in world history. Despite the controversies and challenges he faced, Khrushchev's legacy remains a subject of ongoing debate and discussion in the study of Soviet and Cold War history. Politicians are the same all over. They promise to build bridges even when there are no rivers. This quote reflects Khrushchev's skepticism of politicians and their tendency to make empty promises for the sake of public appeal. "We will bury you." This famous phrase was used by Khrushchev during a speech in 1956, where he emphasized the Soviet Union's growing military and economic strength. The statement was often interpreted as a direct threat to the United States and contributed to Cold War tensions. "The press is our chief ideological weapon." Khrushchev recognized the power of the media in shaping public opinion and used it as a tool to promote Soviet propaganda and ideology. "If you live among dogs, keep a stick. After all, this is what a hound has teeth for, to bite when he feels like it." This quote reflects Khrushchev's belief in the importance of standing up for oneself and being prepared to defend against potential adversaries. Politicians are the same all over. They promise to build a bridge even where there is no river. This quote, similar to the first one listed, demonstrates Khrushchev's skepticism of political rhetoric and the tendency of politicians to make empty promises. We appreciate your support in watching our videos. If you enjoy learning about political, business, and science leaders' biographies and quotes, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving us a thumbs up to help us grow and continue bringing you valuable content.